Hi, this is Jack Healey, and you're watching PEGTV's Sports Rewind.
And Middlebury looking to position themselves in the playoffs as well, so big game for both ball clubs. And it's going to be a battle without question. We're looking for a close contest this evening.
So we'll be set to tee it up here momentarily. Big football matchup here at Middlebury on a beautiful night for football. Christian Hiller will be doing the booting for Rutland High. Again, Johnston and Moss back deep for Middlebury. Here's the Hiller boot. It will hit at the 32 and then roll out of bounds. So right off the bat, Hiller will boot again from his own 35-yard line. So the opening kickoff rolling out of bounds, and we'll do it again. And how many times has that happened this year? Or are they going to take it where it went out of bounds? They might do that. I know the Middlebury offense is trotting onto the football field. They are going to take it. They apparently went out of bounds at the 35-yard line, and Middlebury has elected to take it out of bounds, take the ball right there, so they will go on the offense. No re-kick for Christian Hiller. You do have the choice in high school ball. You can take it where the ball went out of bounds, and that indeed is where Middlebury will take it. Pretty good field position to start things off. 1st and 10, Middlebury at the Middlebury 35-yard line. Double wing sent up with McDonough and Sunderland. Matt Daly is the quarterback, and McDonough in motion, but the handoff goes to Stacy Burnham straight ahead. Not much there. Picks up maybe a yard, and that's it. Virtually the left side of the Raider defensive unit there on the stop. Picks up about a yard out to the 36. It'll be 2nd and 9 for the Middlebury Tigers at that point. We mentioned that Middlebury, Pete Brakely likes to use a lot of people. Ross Sheehan is into the football game right now. Ross Sheehan is the nephew of LPGA Hall of Fame golfer Patty Sheehan, as you know, from Middlebury. Now they operate in the full house backfield of the straight tee. Daly takes it left on the option, and he pitches it back to Sunderland, gets it across the 40 to about the 42-yard line. Vaccaro there on the stop for Rutland High. And that picked up about 6 on the option. Daly took it left, then pitched it back to Bob Sunderland. So now Middlebury will be faced with a 3rd down and about 4 in its own 41-yard line.
Excellent execution in setting that play up by the Tigers. Daly came to the left side. He pitched it back to Sunderland. Nothing doing, and good ball pursuit that time by Vaccaro.
And Gordy McDonough back in for Middlebury, and Sheehan is out as they operate out of the straight tee behind the quarterback, Matt Daly. Daly takes it right on the option, pitches it back to McDonough. Nothing doing as he took it right. He lost 1 back to the 40. Kyle Burke was there on the stop, and the Raiders right off the bat will force the Tigers to boot the football away. That lost yardage, as a matter of fact, back to the 39. It lost 2, and it will be 4th down and about 6 for the Tigers. Just underway, no score. 10:30 remaining here in the first quarter.
Very early into the game already, Jack, and the Raiders are showing extreme explosive quickness off the football in ball pursuit by Vaccaro and Berquist.
McDonough back to put the football away for Middlebury, and Sin and Welch are back deep for the Raiders. Line drive boot, it goes by Sin, and Welch comes up to recover it. Sin did get his hand on the football. It went off his hands, but finally Welch came over, heads up to recover, back around the Raider 25-yard line. When Sin came up on the football, it was up around the 30 or so, went right by him, but Ryan Welch came roaring over to pounce on the football, and it will be 1st and 10 Raiders. They're going to mark it at the Raider 26-yard line. Left side hash mark, the first series of the football game for Rutland High. Jimmy and Agnes is the quarterback. A couple of setbacks behind Jimmy and Agnes. A wing right is Jeff Sin. As Anagnos now goes to Welch straight ahead, gets across the 35 to about the 37-yard line. And a pickup of close to 10. Gordy McDonough on the stop. That was awfully close to 1st down yardage. It is indeed a 1st down. He did pick up 10. That's what he needed. Obviously on the first play of the football game for the Raiders offensively. 1st and 10 for Rutland High, their own 36. Dowdy and also Ryan Welch are the setbacks. The ends are tight. Sin a wing left. First and 10 for the Raiders as the handoff goes straight ahead to Welch, and he picks up maybe a yard to the 37. Johnston on the tackle for Middlebury. It'll be 2nd and 9 for Rutland High. Just underway. Middlebury forced the punt. They had the opening kickoff, and the Raiders on their first offensive series picking up a first down on the first play, and now 2nd and 9 at their own 37-yard line. Mike Abatel is the center. He's over the football. Welch and Downey are the setbacks. Sin is a wing right. And the inside handoff to Sin across the 40, across the 45. Jeff Sin out to the 47-yard line. A pickup of 10 for Jeff Sin. It's another Raider first down. Chan Perrine on the stop for Middlebury. So the Raiders quickly have picked up a couple of first downs here, and they're in pretty good shape. 1st and 10 at their own 47-yard line.
2 of the 3 rushes already in their first drive offensively for the Raiders have come for 10 yards already, and credit the offensive line with creating huge holes for the tailbacks and the running backs from Rutland.
Raiders now have a man wide left. Jimmy Anagnos is the quarterback. Wing right is Sin. Couple of setbacks as Anagnos barks him out on first down. Handoff to Sin. Sweeps it left. Tried to turn the corner. Couldn't do it. Lost a yard, maybe 2, back to the 46. And there is a penalty marker down as the tackle was made by Arthur Payne. And we'll see what the penalty marker is all about. It's a clip against Rutland High. 15-yard penalty against the Raiders. No score. We have 8:25 remaining here in the first quarter at Middlebury. Big matchup between Rutland High and the Middlebury Tigers.
2 big names defensively for the Tigers already in on the action, Payne and Johnston. Thinking back a few weeks ago to the game against MSJ, they were virtually all over the football field, and they have already been in on 2 of the 3 tackles for the Tigers defensively.
We're going to mark it back to the Raider 31-yard line. 1st and 25 for the Raiders at that point. So they picked up a couple of first downs, had the ball out near midfield, but the clipping penalty sets them back here. Raiders now operate out of the I. Downey the up back, and Welch the deep back out of the I. Wide right is Sin. And Sin now in motion right to left. Here's the pitch to Welch. Sweeps it right, turns the corner at the 35, down at the 36, and he picks up 5. It'll be 2nd and 20. Gordy McDonough on the tackle, and actually Welch had one man to beat, and he might have taken that one all the way. It was McDonough that stopped him.
Well, for the most part, offensive linemen are down there to create holes for people like Welch to get through and break through into the secondary. Jeff Sin came in motion from right to left and just crushed the outside linebacker of Middlebury, and that sprung Welch to get to the outside.
Kyle Berquist is in, tight left, tight right is Hiller. Again, Welch and Downey are the setbacks. 2nd and 20 for the Raiders at their own 36-yard line. Sin wing right. Sin gets the inside handoff, has some room as he cracks his way out across the 40 to about the 41, picked up 5. Ken Moss on the tackle there for the Middlebury Tigers. It'll be 3rd down and about 15 for the Raiders, and they're going to mark it at the 43-yard line. The Raider 43. 7:08, no score. 7:08 remaining first quarter. Randy Gagne back in the football game. He's wide left. Tied right is Hiller. And Agnes barks him out now. Play action. Looking to throw. Steps up. Throws left, and it goes incomplete off the fingertips of Christian Hiller at the Middlebury 48-yard line. Pass was there. Hiller was well covered, but it went off his fingertips, and the Raiders are faced with a 4th and 15 at their own 43-yard line. They'll have to boot the football away. So the Raiders picked up a couple of first downs, set back a bit on the 15-yard penalty for clipping, and now they have to boot the football away.
Well, that's one thing you definitely don't want to have happen to you at any point in this ball game is costly penalties and or turnovers, and we've already seen one big costly penalty already against the Raiders.
Hiller back to the Raider 29 to boot it away. Moss back deep for Middlebury at the Middlebury 30. And the snap is a good one, and Hiller gets the boot away, and it's a boomer. It'll go to Moss at the 23 and hit immediately. And Moss was hit immediately. Looked like Ryan Welch was down there to make the tackle. So it'll be 1st and 10, Middlebury at the Middlebury 24-yard line. They're going right to left here in the first quarter. There's no scores. 6:40 remaining in the quarter. They mark it at the right side hash mark. Straight tee for Middlebury. Matt Daly and company. And Daly on the handoff to Sunderland off left tackle. And maybe a yard to the 25. It'll be 2nd and 9 for the Middlebury Tigers. Welcome back to night football where the line of sight isn't as good. In there on that particular play, offensively, Darcy Trudeau at one of the end spots. He's out. Langfeld is in. And Obi English goes wide right. 2nd and 9 for Middlebury, the Middlebury 25-yard line. McDonough's in motion now. As Daly, play action, back to throw, throws right, complete to Sunderland, out across the 35-40 and across the Middlebury 45, knocked out of bounds at the Middlebury 47-yard line. Picked up 23, the play action, Matt Daly found Bob Sunderland, and it's a Middlebury first down, their first first down of the ball game. McFerrin bounced him out of bounds across the way. Now they're going to mark it, finally, when it was all said and done, they're going to say he went out of bounds in the Middlebury 45, so a pickup of 20. Second time that Middlebury has had its hands on the football. Double wing setup, a lone setback behind Daly. And they hand off to the wingback, Sunderland, nothing doing. He's going to lose yardage back to the 43-yard line. Check it, Moss on the carry. Matt Walterscheid on the tackle for Rutland High. Moss was lined up as a wing on the right side, and he got the call. It lost a couple back to the 43. It'll be 2nd and 12 for Middlebury at that point, their own 43-yard line. 5:30 remaining first quarter, no score, Rutland High and Middlebury. Beautiful night for football here at Middlebury. Again, the straight tee behind Matt Daly, the senior quarterback. And the fake to Burnham. Daly takes it left on the option, gets it out across the 45 to about the 47. Pick up a 4, Kyle Berquist on the stop for Rutland High. It'll be 3rd down and about 8 for the Tigers, their own 47-yard line. As Trudeau and Langfeld continue to alternate in an end spot for the Tigers. English is in, he's wide right. McDonough in with Burnham. And also Moss. Straight tee behind Matt Daly. Daly play action, rolls right, throws, and it is intercepted at the Raider 48 by Jeff McFerrin, and he is tackled at the 50-yard line. Interception for Rutland High, the first turnover of the football game. And was it McFerrin or was it Downey on the interception?
It was McFerrin.
It was McFerrin, yeah, 22. Jeff McFerrin on the interception. And the Raiders have it 1st and 10 at the 50-yard line.
Well, they set up the play, rolling right. Daly faded to the right, and he tried to throw it over the outstretched arms, and he just couldn't get it done, and this is the break that Rutland was looking for. First turnover of the football game. Daly, who had a pass completion for 20 before that time, had it intercepted. And we got whistles and penalty markers before a play can be run for Rutland High. Indeed, Jeff McFerrin on the interception. And we'll see what the penalty marker is all about. It's against the Raiders, a legal procedure. They'll mark it back to the Raider 45-yard line, so they'll have it 1st and 15. Well, big game on the road. You get the first big break. The interception by McFerrin in the first play, as a result of that, results in a penalty, and that's not what you want to have happen right here. Rutland needs to take this momentum, take it down the football field, and punch 7 points up on the board. Mark Barassa is in at center for Mike Abatel now, and Barassa is over the football. Wide right is Sin. Randy Gagne tied left. Healer tied right. 1st and 15 for the Raiders, their own 45. Sin in motion right to left. And here's the pitch to Downey. Nothing doing. Downey swept it right, and he loses yardage back to the 42. He lost 3. Penalty markers down, and Brian Cataret on the tackle for Middlebury. We'll see what this penalty marker is all about. Obviously, in a big game, you got to stay away from turnovers, number 1. Middlebury has thrown an interception and penalties, and the Raiders have been plagued by the penalties in the early going. And I believe this one's going to go against the Raiders, too. Illegal motion. Could have been called against Sin. He was going in motion right to left, and they used him in that position from the wide receiver position to come across the field and take out the outside linebacker, and I think he started to head upfield before the football was snapped, resulting in the second penalty against Rutland on this drive and the third already in the first quarter against Rutland. They're going to decline the penalty, though, because it lost yardage. 2nd down and close to 19 for the Raiders at their own 42-yard line. Anagnos back to throw, looking, steps up, being pressured, fires down the middle. It goes incomplete off the hands of Jeff Sin at the Middlebury 45-yard line. That pass was deflected, I believe, by number 89. Paul Gill may have gotten his hand up 6'5", 210. You can see why he would possibly get his hand on the football coming in at 6'5", but that ball was deflected. Sin was open in the flat as Anagnos stepped up and threw the football, but it was deflected somewhere just behind the line of scrimmage by a Middlebury player.
I think they have some confusion as to the down. I believe it's third down because they declined the penalty. The stick says second down. The board says third down. I think it should be third down. But they still have the stick across the way, second down. Are they going to change it? They should. And let's see. It is third down. Yep, third down for the Raiders. Third and about 19 at their own 42-yard line. They have it at the right side hash mark. Gagne tight left. Welch and Downey are the setbacks. Hiller tight right. Wing right is Sin. Anagnos on the handoff to Sin. Sweeps it left. Breaks a tackle. Cuts it against the grain, but he's going to lose a couple back to the 40-yard line. So it lost two more. It'll be fourth down and about 21 for the Raiders. Carl Langfeld on the stop for Middlebury. No score. 3:15 remaining first quarter. Well, you sort of get the feeling, it's still early, of course. You get the feeling one touchdown might do it in this ball game.
Well, both defenses are definitely fired up here in the early going. Langfeld got credit for the tackle, but responsible for that was a name we'll mention probably throughout the entire evening, was Charles Payne getting in the backfield and forcing Sin to change direction, and Langfeld wrapped him up.
Casey O'Mara now is back deep for Middlebury around the Tiger 30. Back to boot it is Hiller at his own 26. And line drive, boot to O'Mara at the 34. Got across the 35, then hit immediately. Frankie Vaccaro getting down there to make the tackle. So Middlebury goes on the offense, first and 10 at its own 36-yard line. And this is the third time the Tigers have had their hands on the football. And first time they had to punt the football away. Second time the interception by Jeff McFerrin. The Raiders had it at the 50-yard line, but couldn't cash in, and now Middlebury on the offense again. They mark it between the hash marks. Matt Daly, 6'1", 180-pound senior quarterback. He's got English wide right. Langfeld is tight right as they operate onto the straight T now. And Daly on the handoff straight ahead and cracking his way out across the 40 to about the 43 is Gordy McDonough and Jacob Downey there on the tackle. That picked up about 7. It'll be 2nd and 3 for Middlebury at their own 43-yard line. Now Sunderland comes out of the football game and Ken Moss is in, 5'10", 170-pound junior. So Moss is in with Burnham and McDonough. Right to left, straight T. In the backfield behind Daly, and the ends are tight. 2nd and 3 for the Tigers, their own 43. And the handoff to Moss, and nothing doing. He's going to be hit by Jim Hill in the backfield. And Jim made the initial hit. And lost about a yard back to the 42, but they're going to say his forward progress out to the 43. So it'll be 3rd down and 3 for Middlebury.
Excellent ball pursuit and a nice job of pretty much solo tackling by Jim Hill coming from his guard position. And that's the Raiders so far have tackled well. They just need to get rid of the penalties when they have the football on the offensive side.
Minute 25 remaining first quarter, no score. Middlebury 3rd and 3 at its own 43-yard line. McDonough in motion now. And the play action, Daly rolls right, fires over the middle, and it goes incomplete. Almost picked off at the 50-yard line by Jacob Downey. He almost picked it off. So now it'll be 4th and 3 Middlebury at their own 43, and they'll have to boot the football away. Scoreless battle in the early going.
Well, early on, winding down, just over a minute remaining here in the first quarter, and I wonder if there is going to be any truth and validity to what you said, Jack. One score may decide this football game tonight due to the fact that both defenses are playing extremely well right now.
Sin and Welch back deep for the Raiders around the Raider 25. McDonough back around the Middlebury 32 to boot it away. And the snap is a good one. McDonough against the boot away. A booming spiral. It hits at the 15, picked up at the 12 by Welch. Welch is really hemmed in, and they are going to drop him at the 11-yard line, and he fumbled the football, and Middlebury is recovered. Middlebury is recovered. They recover the fumble at the Raider 11-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Tigers, and it looked like Patrick Kieran was down there to pounce on the loose football as Welch trying to get the extra yardage. Fumble the football, and Middlebury is knocking on the door. 1st and 10 at the Raider 11-yard line. McDonough, Burnham, and Sunderland left to right. Straight T backfield behind the senior quarterback Daly. And Daly goes to Burnham straight ahead. Nothing much there. Up to maybe the 10. He's wrapped up by Mike Clark Well, they're going to say back to the line of scrimmage, so it'll be 2nd and 10 for Middlebury at the Raider 11-yard line.
Well, how important will special teams be in this ball game? Huge punt that time by Middlebury, and the turnover and good special teams coverage by the Tigers gives them the ball deep in Rutland territory.
McDonough, Burnham, and Moss left to right behind Daly now. Daly on the handoff to McDonough, sweeps it right, turns the corner at the 5, and he's dropped at the Raider 4-yard line, a pickup of 7. It'll be 3rd down and 3 for the Middlebury Tigers as McFerrin got over there to drag him down. That should be the final play of the first quarter, and it will be. That is the end of the first quarter. And after a quarter, as Middlebury's knocking on the door, they'll have it 3rd down at the Raider 4-yard line. After a quarter, it's Middlebury nothing, Rutland nothing, back after this 30-second timeout. Jack Healey back with Vince Allo. It's a scoreless first quarter as we get set for the second quarter, but Middlebury has it 3rd down. And actually, as they mark it here, Middlebury now going left to right in the second quarter, the Raiders right to left. Middlebury has it 3rd down about a yard at the Raider 3-yard line. Left to right, McDonough, Burnham, and Moss in the straight T backfield behind Matt Daly. First play of the second quarter in a scoreless ball game as Daly barks him out. And he fakes to Burnham, takes it right on the option, dives in, touchdown. Matt Daly, 3-yard quarterback keeper, and Middlebury leads it 6-0 with 11:55 remaining in the first half. And that was set up on the fumble recovery by Kiernan at the Raider 11-yard line.
Excellent ball fake that time by Daly. He got around to the outside and had to actually dive over the end line with the football, his arms outstretched, as he was being trailed from behind by Matt Waltershut. He couldn't get there in time, and Middlebury now on top 6-0, looking to add to that with the extra point.
English is the holder. And the kick is up and good by Matt Daly, who got the touchdown. And it is 7-0 Middlebury. So Middlebury capitalizes on the fumble recovery. Matt Daly, a 3-yard touchdown run on the quarterback keeper. Patrick Kieran on the fumble recovery for Middlebury. Daly with the extra point. 7-0 Middlebury, back with a kickoff after this 30-second timeout. Jack Healey, Vince Allo. Middlebury has drawn first blood after a scoreless first quarter. Middlebury scoring on the first play of the second quarter. 7-0 Middlebury. The 3-yard touchdown run by the quarterback, Matt Daly. Daly with the extra point. Sin and Welch back deep for the Raiders, and Daly with the kick here after the Middlebury touchdown. And the Raiders now have some work to do. They're trailing 7-0. And here's the boot by Daly, and this will go to Sin at the 10-yard line. Drops it, picks it up again across the 15, across the 20, near sideline 25. Penalty markers down across the 30. Fumbles out of bounds, and he was rumbled out of bounds around the Raider 33. We'll see what the penalty marker is all about. Generally, I want to speculate, but generally it's clipping when you see that. But it might go the other way. We'll wait and see.
Well, based on Jeff Sin's reaction, it will be against Middlebury. He's applauding.
That's what made me say it may go the other way.
A face mask.
It might have been a face mask. And was it? Is that what they called it?
Yes, it was. Face mask penalty against Middlebury.
So they'll tack 15 yards. Actually, the face mask penalty might have come earlier in the run because it certainly didn't come when he was knocked out of bounds. It was back around the 23-yard line. It is a face mask penalty. Big penalty against Middlebury, and the Raiders will have excellent field position as they mark it out, and the Raiders will have it at their own 47-yard line. 1st and 10, Rutland, their own 47.
Well, turnovers and penalties are a big part of any football game. As important as the turnover itself is being able to capitalize on the turnover, which we saw Middlebury do. Rutland has an interception already. They did not capitalize on that. Let's see if they can carry this momentum off the face mask penalty.
Rick Kuchar is in. He's wide right. Jimmy Agnes barks him out. A couple of setbacks. 1st and 10 Raiders, their own 47. And the handoff straight ahead to Welch. 45, 40, and he gets it inside the Middlebury 35, down at the Middlebury 33-yard line. Brian Welch on the quick opener. Straight ahead. He almost took it all the way. The Raiders have it 1st and 10 as Gordy McDonough made the tackle. That was a 20-yard pickup for Ryan Welch.
Great tackle in the open field by McDonough. That one saved 6 points as Welch used his quickness to burst through the line of scrimmage, a big hole created by the down lineman of the Raiders, and Welch would have been gone if McDonough did not wrap him up after a 20-yard gain.
First and 10 Raiders, the Middlebury 33. McIntyre is in. He's wide left. Wing right is Kuchar. Anagnos barks him out. Anagnos straight ahead. It goes to McFerrin inside the 25 down at the 20-yard line. So Jeff McFerrin into the football game. Matt Daly on the tackle. And quickly the Raiders with a couple of big runs. One by Welch, one by McFerrin. McFerrin picking up again. First down yardage down to the 20. He picked up 13. Welch had a 20-yard pickup before, and the Raiders are knocking on the door. First and 10 at the Middlebury 20. Middlebury out in front 7-0. 11 minutes remaining first half. Wide left, Randy Gagne. The Raiders operate out of the I. Kuchar is wide right. First and 10, and a Raider jumped. The tackle on the left side. Jump for the Raiders, and it will be first and 15 for the Raiders at the Middlebury 25.
Well, the first two plays after that face mask penalty against Middlebury responded in a 20-yard and a 13-yard run by the Raiders, and 5 yards will be marked off on the offsides call against Rutland. Deep in Middlebury territory, trailing 7-0.
Should be first down, right? They got second down on the stick across the way. Raiders have it at the 25-yard line of Middlebury. Handoff to Welch off right tackle, and he's down at the Middlebury 21. Pickup of about 4. And McDonough on the tackle.
That should have been a first down. I mean, that should have been the first down play.
Yeah,
the stick across the field has third down on it.
I don't think that's right.
And now they've called an official's timeout. Timeout Rutland.
Yeah, Rutland wants a timeout. The Raiders have it at the Middlebury 23. The stick says 3rd and 12. We think it's 2nd and 12.
And Coach Bearworth is pointing that out to the officiating staff as he's coming out onto the football field.
The guy on the stick has got to get on the stick. Pardon the pun. We'll keep it right here as we figure things out. And Middlebury has a 7-0 lead with 10:14 remaining in the first half. And the Raiders have it. Well, the stick says 3rd down, but we say 2nd down and about 12 at the Middlebury 23-yard line. I don't think they're going to change it. That was a first down play right before, and then they had the penalty. It was 1st and 10, then it was 1st and 15. Now they're going to change it. I wasn't going to take the break until I knew that they were going to change it one way or the other. It is 2nd down and 12. That's the second big boo-boo by the stick guy here.
And of course,
you better watch that guy from here on in, because a couple of plays have gone by before they've noticed it the last 2 times.
Exactly, and the eye in the sky, known as Jack Healey himself, was probably the first one in attendance here in Middlebury to point that out, as he, pardon the pun, is on the stick.
Down there, because they all turned around and looked at me, including Principal David Walk, and I know he's not related to the stick guy. Well, and Principal David Walk is here. 2nd down and 12 for the Raiders at the Middlebury 23. Randy Gagne is wide left. We're going to wing right. Rick Kuchar as Jimmy Anagnos barks him out. Handoff straight ahead to Jacob Downey. Gets it to about the 19 before he's tripped up. Pickup of 4. And the Raiders now will be faced with a 3rd down and about 9. Ben Johnston on the tackle for Middlebury.
Very big 3rd down play here for the Raiders, coming off the big penalty on the kickoff return by Jeff Sin. Faced with a 3rd and long, 3rd and 9 on the Middlebury side of the Middlebury 20. They must convert here, because it'd be a long field goal if they don't get some good yardage. And obviously we'd like to see them punch it in the end zone for 6.
Raiders in the power I behind Anagnos. Sin is the deep back, gets the call, takes it off right tackle, skips his way down to the 16, pickup of about 3, and the Raiders will be faced with a 4th down. There on the tackle was Arthur Payne for Middlebury.
Well, you take away that offside penalty of 5 yards, and they're very close to a 1st down, so that penalty was a big penalty against the Raiders.
So the Raiders are going to have it 4th down and 7 at the Middlebury 16-yard line. And they are indeed going for it as Gagne comes wide right. Brent Bliss is in. He's wide left. Couple of setbacks behind Jimmy Anagnos. Big 4th down play in this football game. Anagnos back to throw. Being pressured. Avoids one man. Rolls right. Still avoids a man. Finally gets the pass away and throws into the end zone complete, but out of bounds was Randy Gagne. So Middlebury will take over on downs. Gagne made the catch at the far sideline, but he was out of bounds. And Middlebury will have it 1st and 10 at its own 16. Great job by Anagnos, though. He avoided about 3 or 4 men. Broke tackle, still got the pass away. Gagne caught it, but he was out of bounds. So 1st and 10, Middlebury at the Middlebury 16.
Although we're all the way across the football field, I bet he was no more than, he must have had close to 1 foot down. He may even had been straddling the line, or his foot may have touched the line in the end zone. But give all that credit to Jim Anagnos, staying in the pocket, getting flushed outside, breaking tackles, and still had the ability to nearly complete that football.
Middlebury 1st and 10, its own 16-yard line. Handoff to Burnham off left tackle, takes it out across the 20 to about the 21. Picks up 5 as Kuchar there on the stop. It'll be 2nd down and 5 for Middlebury. Middlebury 7, Rutland nothing with 8:30 remaining in the first half. Second down and about 4 for Middlebury. Or 2nd down and 3 make it. Middlebury has it at its own 23-yard line. Is Daly now, and the handoff to McDonough, sweeps it right across the 30 and dropped at the Middlebury 32 in the wide open field. The tackle made by Brian Pinney, who's playing defense tonight and seeing some action. That picked up 9, though, for Gordy McDonough, and a Middlebury 1st down. They have it 1st and 10 at their own 32-yard line.
Nice job of solo tackling that time by Brian Pinney. Had he not made that tackle, that one had 6 written all over it, and he was the only one back there in coverage for the Raiders.
English wide left to right in the backfield. McDonough, Burnham, and Moss behind Matt Daly. Langfeld tight left. And the handoff goes straight ahead, and absolutely nothing doing. Burnham is tripped up after getting back to the line of scrimmage. Mike Clark there to wrap him up. It'll be 2nd and 10 for Middlebury.
Well, Clark was there first for the Raiders, then he had a little help from his friends. No gain on the play, and that's exactly what they need to do. Burst through the line of scrimmage and try to control this Middlebury ground attack, which to this point in the game, they've done exactly that.
McDonough, Burnham, and Moss left to right in the backfield. Straight T formation behind the senior quarterback Matt Daly, and the ends are tied. 2nd and 10 for Middlebury. And Daly goes to Burnham, takes it straight ahead, gets his way to about the 35. Mike Abatel on the tackle. Picked up 3. It'll be 3rd and 7 for Middlebury as English back into the football game at an end spot for Trudeau for the Tigers. 7 minutes left, first half. It's Middlebury 7 and Rutland nothing. Middlebury scoring on the Matt Daly 3-yard touchdown run.
You're listening to 1993 high school football on Vermont Sports Leader, AM 1380, WSYB, Rutland.
3rd down play as English goes wide right. Again, the straight T behind Daly. Daly play action. Rolls right, throws right. It is complete to English at the Middlebury 45. Knocked out of bounds immediately by Brian Pinney. It picked up 10, and it is a Middlebury 1st down. Matt Daly connecting with Obi English. English, a 5'11", 180-pound senior. And English comes out of the football game. 1st and 10 Middlebury with the Middlebury 45. When Middlebury scored first play of the second quarter, it was set up on a fumble recovery that gave Middlebury a 1st and 10 at the Raider 11-yard line. A few plays later, the quarterback Matt Daly. Now the handoff to McDonough to the 50. McDonough to the Raider 45, down at the Raider 44-yard line. Kyle Perquist on the tackle, along with Mark Barassa. And that picked up close to 10. Are they going to call for a measurement or not? They are going to call for a measurement. They have to, it's on the near sideline. They have to bring the chain gang all the way across. And this Middlebury offensive line is starting to rip some holes in that Raider defensive line a little bit.
And the play before that is a result exactly of that. The pass completion to English along the near sideline. And you establish something on the ground, things will come a lot easier to your passing game. And right now, Middlebury's moving the football.
And it is a Middlebury 1st down. 1st and 10 Middlebury at the Rutland 45. Middlebury 7, Rutland nothing. 6:32 left in the first half here at Middlebury. And Middlebury's on the move. The center is John Ramsey, 6'3", 260-pound senior. He leads the club out of the huddle. English goes wide left. McDonough, Burnham, and Moss left to right. Straight T behind the senior quarterback Matt Daly as he barks him out on 1st down. Daly goes to Burnham straight ahead, crunches his way down to the Raider 42, a pickup of 3. Mike Clark on the tackle.
Haven't heard much from Stacy Burnham. And that's really a good sign for Middlebury. They're already up 7-0, and Burnham has yet to make an impact on this game with his running ability, and we saw again what he was able to do against MSJ, and Rutland has pretty much contained him to this point in the football game.
Well, picked up 3 there. 2nd and 7 for Middlebury, the Raider 43. As now the inside handoff to McDonough, sweeps it right inside the 40, 35, and he's knocked out of bounds at the Raider 32-yard line by Brian Pinney. That picked up 11. Gordy McDonough has been the big man in this football game for Middlebury. 1st and 10 Tigers at the Raider 32.
Exactly. McDonough doing most of the work and most of the damage, moving the football for Middlebury. A couple big gains already here in the first half by McDonough. And the name we had talked about in the pregame was Burnham, and he has yet to do his thing. McDonough's doing most of the work on the ground for the Tigers.
Getting a breather is Moss and Sunderland in now for Middlebury. Sunderland gets the call, takes it left off left tackle inside the 30, down at the Raider 29, a pickup of 3. That was a first down carry. It'll be 2nd and 7 for Middlebury. Jacob Downey there to wrap him up for Rutland High. 5:30 left first half. It's Middlebury 7 and Rutland nothing, and Middlebury has its 2nd and 7 at the Raider 29-yard line. Wide left goes Obie English. McDonough, Burnham, and Sunderland left to right in the backfield. Straight T behind Matt Daly. They mark it between the hash marks. Daly now on the handoff. It goes to McDonough straight ahead. Picks up a yard, maybe 2, down at the 27. Dropped by a couple of Raiders. Brent Bliss was over there. Downey was over in the general area. Abatel. It'll be 3rd down and about 5 for the Middlebury Tigers at the Rutland 27-yard line.
11th play of the drive for the Tigers.
Again, the straight T. Fake to Burnham by Daly, pitches back to Sunderland, takes it left, nothing doing. Picked up a couple, but really hammered down at the Middlebury 25. And there on the tackle was Frankie Vaccaro and Jim Hill. They really crunched him. It'll be 4th down. We'll look back, maybe the big defensive play of the game. That's just outside the 25, picked up about a yard. We'll mark it at the Raider 26. 4th down and 3 for Middlebury at that point. Another big play, though. They're in 4 territory, but that was a big 3rd down defensively for Rutland High. Moss is back in, so it's McDonough, Burnham, and Moss left to right behind Daly. 4th down for the Tigers at the Raider 26. Daly on the play action, pitches back to McDonough on the option, sweeps it right. McDonough gets it to the 21. Penny on the tackle. Downey over there as well. It is a 1st down.
Maybe the spot is what got the attention of Rutland coach John Bearworth across the field as he was just shaking his head. And of course, we are here at Middlebury, a little bit possibly the home field spot of the football that time, but I thought Rutland may have stopped him on the 4th down play.
Did get a pretty good spot on that. Picked up close to 4. He needed 3. 1st and 10, Middlebury, the Raider 21. And the handoff goes to Sunderland. Avoids one man as he took it left. Got it down to about the 18 and hit in the wide open field by Jacob Downey. Give them 2. It'll be 2nd and 8 for Middlebury at the Raider 19-yard line. 3:12 left first half. It's Middlebury 7 and Rutland nothing. As into the football game is Ross Sheehan. Again, the sophomore. We mentioned the nephew of Patty Sheehan. He had a play earlier in the football game, or came in for one play. So Sheehan in the backfield. Daly on 2nd down. And Sheehan got the call, nothing doing. He ran into a stone wall and got driven back. Let's see where they mark his forward progress. Perhaps back to the line of scrimmage. He actually lost a yard. Mike Abatil there on the hit. 3rd down and 10 for Middlebury, just outside the Raider 20. We'll call it the Raider 21.
Ran into a wall is right, and the wall being in the shape of Mike Abatel, doing an outstanding job breaking through the line of scrimmage and throwing him for a loss of 1 on the play.
Double wing set up now, and Burnham is the lone setback as English goes wide right. In motion now is Sheehan. Play action. Daly pumps once. Throws downfield. He wants Moss. It goes incomplete. He overthrew him in the end zone. Covered well by Brian Pinney. That was 3rd and 10. Now it's 4th and 10 for Middlebury. So Again, 4 down territory. Middlebury has it at the Raider 21-yard line. Clock stops with 2:14 left in the first half, and Middlebury has a 7-0 lead. Are they going to try a field goal? Daly is looking. He's the kicker. That would be... He is going to try a field goal here. It's going to be an angle off to the left. Daly will mark it down at the 27-yard line. After the snap, it would be marked down at the 27. 37-yard field goal attempt for Matt Daly. English is the holder. Slight angle off to the left. 37-yard field goal attempt. And here is the kick by Daly. It is up, and it is good. 37-yard field goal from Matt Daly, and Middlebury leads it now by a score of 10-0 with 2:08 left in the first half. Back with a kickoff after this 30-second timeout. First half. This game can be seen on Channel 15. Brian Mayhew and company here to tape it, and Rick Fleming here to tape it, and it will be seen at a future date on Rutland Channel 15. Matt Daly has just hit a 37-yard field goal for Middlebury. The Tigers have the 10-0 lead. Back deep for the Raiders, both Ryan Welch and Jeff Sin, and here is the Matt Daly boot. And this will go to Sin at the 11-yard line. Fakes the reverse as he takes it right, and he is hit at the 14-yard line. Sunderland down there to make the tackle. And I'll tell you, this Middlebury club is very impressive.
Well, impressive is right on the offense that time. That field goal was the 17th play of that drive that started way back at the Middlebury 17 at the 8:47 mark, taking off 5 minutes and 39 seconds off the game clock. And in that position there, Middlebury said, let's at least come out of here with 3 points heading into halftime, put Rutland down on the kickoff with under 2 minutes remaining in the first half, and go into the halftime show with a 10-0 lead.
Looks like McFerrin and Welch now behind Jimmy and Agnes. A couple of men wide left. Here's the pitch now to Welch. Welch sweeps it left, cuts it inside at the 15, and he's down at the Raider 19-yard line. Ryan Welch dropped in the open field by Aaron Volkert. Picked up 5, though. It'll be 2nd and 5 for the Raiders, their own 19. Matt Daly hasn't done much for Middlebury. He's got a 3-yard touchdown run, the extra point, and the 37-yard field goal. The Middlebury quarterback, and the Tigers lead at 10-0. Minute 18 remaining first half. The Raiders line it up quickly here. Jimmy and Agnes barks him out. McFerrin and Welch are the setbacks. Man wide right. Bliss is tight left now. And Agnes on 2nd down drops it straight back. Way back as he rolls right, being chased. He's going to keep, and he finally runs out of bounds right around the 24-yard line. Ben Johnston ran him out. Picked up 5, awfully close to first down yardage. Let's see where they're going to mark it finally here.
Close to a first down, and in the same action, stopping the game clock, does an Agnes by getting out of bounds. Smart heads-up play by Jim and Agnes.
3rd down and less than a yard for the Raiders. The Raiders have it at their own 24-yard line. 57 seconds remaining in the first half. Randy Gagne brings it wide left now. Sin in with Welch and McFerrin. Sin is a wing left. McFerrin and Welch are the setbacks. And wide right as well as Agnes drops it back on 3rd down. Looking, and he airs it out long. He wants McIntyre. It goes incomplete down at the Middlebury 35-yard line. It looked like McDonough might have got a hand on the football downfield. Or Chan Perrine, I believe, got a hand on the football. And Agnes really aired it out when it went incomplete. It'll be 4th down and less than a yard for the Raiders at their own 24-yard line. Clock stops with 49 seconds remaining in the first half. And now the Raiders want a timeout to discuss things. But a timeout on the field. We'll be back after this 30-second break. Jack Healey, Vince Allo back at Middlebury. Beautiful night for football, a huge crowd. 49 seconds left in the first half. It is Middlebury 10 and Rutland nothing.
The role of the decoy in that last play by the Raiders was Randy Gagne coming up the near sideline. Virtually no one around him, but the whole play was set up along the right side, and fortunately for Middlebury, was deflected at the last minute.
4th and less than a yard for the Raiders, their own 24, and they are going to boot the football away here. Christian Hiller going back to the Raider 10-yard line. And in single safety for Middlebury. Snap a little low. Hiller has difficulty with it. And the kick is blocked. It is picked up. And returning it for a touchdown is Johnston. Ben Johnston, the block punt. He picked it up and returned it for the touchdown, and Middlebury leads it 16-0. And he picked that up right around the 10-yard line or so. A 10-yard return on the blocked punt for the touchdown by Middlebury's Ben Johnston, and Middlebury now leads at 16-0 with 43 seconds left in the first half.
Little case of being in the right place at the right time by Ben Johnston of Middlebury. The ball was deflected and he caught it in midair and took it in for the touchdown untouched, and now Middlebury's up 16-0. There is a Middlebury player injured on the far side of the football field. And unfortunate break that time for the Raiders. I think Hiller might have been just better off just falling on the football rather than trying to boot it away. And
I'm not sure who blocked the punt, but Johnston, unless Johnston himself blocked the punt, I'm not sure if somebody else did, and Johnston picked it up in the air, but he returned it about 10 yards for the touchdown. It's 16-0 Middlebury. There is a timeout on the field here as a Middlebury
there's
player.
Two players down. There's a Rutland player down as well. Hiller, the punter, is down.
Hiller, the punter, was also shaken up. You're right. It was a low snap from center, and Hiller couldn't find the handle on the first try. And they finally found the handle and tried to punt it. It was blocked. Ben Johnston took it in from 10 yards out for the touchdown. 16-0 Middlebury with 43 seconds left in the first half.
You know, definitely not taking anything away from Christian Hiller as he is sent out there to do exactly that, punt the football away. But in that position, that far into your own territory, with under a minute to go here in the first half, he was definitely pressured a lot, and he may have been better off just falling down on the football and giving his defense a chance to prevent exactly what happened there, which was a touchdown. But a huge break for the Tigers going into the locker room here at halftime, up by 16 with a chance to go up by even more with the extra point or two-point conversion.
Hiller's okay, and the Middlebury player who was shaken up, I believe, is Ryan Cataret, and he's coming off the field under his own power as well. So a shocker here, the block punt. Ben Johnston took in the block punt from 10 yards out for the touchdown, unofficially a 10-yard return. And Middlebury looking for the extra point here. Matt Daly has a touchdown and a 37-yard field goal to his credit. In to attempt the extra point, snap down, English puts it down, the kick is up, and the kick is good. And Middlebury now leads it by a score of 17-0. That's your score, Middlebury 17, Rutland nothing. 43 seconds left in the first half. Back with a kickoff after this 30-second timeout. Jack Healey back with Vince Allo. They're going to mark it at the Middlebury 33. The pass completion from Anagnos to Gagne, then the 15-yard penalty for a late hit. And the Raiders have it at that point, the Middlebury 33. Middlebury has just called for the timeout. 16 seconds left in the half, and Middlebury has a 17-0 lead. McIntyre is wide left for Rutland High. Gagne is wide right. Sin is a wing right. Out on first down. Anagnos drops it straight back. He fires right, and it is complete to Gagne at the 20. Puts on in the move at the 15, 10, and he's finally knocked out of bounds right around the Middlebury 7-yard line. What a move put on by Randy Gagne when he got the football. The Raiders have it first and goal at the Middlebury 7. That is a 26-yard pass completion from Anagnos to Randy Gagne.
Well, the biggest part of that completion, Jack, was not only did he catch the football, but he also gained about 5 to 10 more yards, and he also got out of bounds to stop the clock with 7 seconds left. And you're right, if Rutland can punch it in here and go into the locker room down 17-7, what a shot in the arm that would be for the Raiders.
And Middlebury has called for the timeout. We'll keep it right here. Middlebury has a 17-0 lead with 7 seconds remaining in the first half. Raiders have it first and goal at the Middlebury 7. What a move that Randy Gagne, though, put on as soon as he caught the football. I'll tell you, as you mentioned, he picked up that extra yardage, and
got out of bounds as well. Rutland already penalized, or victim of big penalties and costly turnovers here in the first half. That unsportsmanlike late hit against Middlebury was their first penalty of the first half. Let's see how costly that is, as it added 15 yards to this short drive by the Raiders, and right now they're knocking on the Middlebury door the first time this evening, down 17-0. And as we always say this so often, it's penalties and turnovers that can really do you in. And so far, that's been the story against the Raiders tonight. And right now, they're looking to carry a Middlebury penalty into 6 points of their own.
First and goal, Raiders, the Middlebury 7. 7 seconds left in the first half. Gagne is wide left. Anagnos on the pitch now to Welch. Takes it left and against the grain. He's down at the 6. And timeout is called with 1 second remaining in the half. They thought maybe that would surprise the Tigers with a running play. And this time the Raiders call for the timeout. It'll be second and goal, Raiders of the Middlebury 6. Again, we'll keep it right here. Interesting play there. And I can see how they, that was a sweep left, and then Welch cut it against the grain, but he was dropped at the 6-yard line.
Well, certainly that is an outstanding play selection by Coach Beerworth. If there is exactly more time than 7 seconds remaining on the game clock in the first half, a play like that has no other option other than to take lots of precious seconds off the game clock.
Yeah, if you get an extra yard, they're out of time. But
exactly. Good heads-up play by the Raiders, calling a timeout as soon as the play had expired. And right now they've got 1 second left to try to punch it in here now. And big play here for the Raiders. 1 second remaining on the clock. They're down 17-0. A touchdown here would certainly give them somewhat of momentum heading into the locker room, as they will get the football back to start the second half. And you get a 7 points to end the half. You get the football back. Coach Beerworth has enough time to make adjustments that he needs to make. Could be a turning point in this football game on this play right here.
McIntyre wide left, Gagne wide right. The Raiders have it second and goal at the Middlebury 6. 1 second left in the half. Anagnos now rolls right, looking, throws toward the end zone, and it is complete for the touchdown to Randy Gagne. The Raiders are on the board. The 6-yard touchdown pass from Jimmy Anagnos to Randy Gagne. It is 17-6 Middlebury. Oh, man, what a play and what a throw by Jimmy Anagnos. That combination again, Anagnos to Gagne.
And that play had about 1.5 inches of room over the outstretched fingertips of the Middlebury defender as Gagne was fading to the far side of the end zone. And Anagnos was rolling to that side of the football field and had to throw off balance, completed the pass, and what a momentum gainer for the Raiders.
And Hiller in to attempt the extra point. Snap down, the kick by Hiller is up, and the kick is good. The kick is good. It is Middlebury 17 and Rutland 7 at the end of the first half. As the Raiders came right up the field, they were shocked on the block punt for a touchdown by Ben Johnston, but they came right up the field. Big pass play earlier in that drive from Jimmy Anagnos to Randy Gagne. 15-yard penalty against Middlebury for a late hit, and that put the Raiders down at the Middlebury 33, and they eventually got it down. Well, they had it first and goal at the Middlebury 7, went on the running play. Welch picked up a yard. They had it second and goal from the 6 as the Raiders call for the timeout with 1 second left in the half. And then Jimmy Anagnos hooking up to Randy Gagne on the 6-yard touchdown pass. The kick by Christian Hiller, and it's 17-7 Middlebury here at halftime.
Well, the important thing about that drive, Jack, is they were able to capitalize off a penalty and or a turnover. Earlier on in the first half, they got an interception and had to give the football right back after a few short plays. This time they took advantage of the late hit, 15 yards against Middlebury. They took it in and got a touchdown. They're down 17-7 at the half, but I would say right now that Rutland has taken away some of the momentum that Middlebury had enjoyed early in the first half.
So we're at halftime. The score, Middlebury 17 and Rutland High 7. We'll be back with our halftime show after this 2-minute timeout. Middlebury touchdown. Can't say that enough, Vince. I know you've mentioned it a few times. The fumble, and Middlebury set it up. The Middlebury fumble recovery set up the touchdown, and also the block punt, which resulted directly in the touchdown. But the big penalty against Middlebury resulted in the Raider touchdown.
Well, in most cases, a penalty or a turnover has somewhat of an impact on the game, but as we've seen tonight, points off of turnovers or points off of a penalty has certainly had a major impact in tonight's first half, so that's going to be something to keep your eye on as the second half progresses. And important for Rutland to come out of the locker room, make the adjustments that they needed to make, hearing the instructions from Coach John Beerworth, and get a drive of their own established, as Middlebury had really the only long drive of the first half that ended with the Matt Daly field goal, putting them up 17-0 at that time. And Rutland needs to come back, get the ground game going, and that will certainly open things up for quarterback Jim Agnes.
Rutland will be going right to left here in the third quarter. Middlebury left to right. The Raiders will receive the second half boot from Matt Daly, as Jeff Sin and also Ryan Welch will be back deep for Rutland High. McFerrin and Vaccaro are up about 10 yards. It was Vaccaro that put the Raiders initially in pretty good field position after returning that kickoff after Middlebury went up by that 17-0 score. They returned it out to the 44-yard line. So we're going to get set for the second half kick. Here it is, and Daly sends it down to Sin, who picks it up at the 10-yard line, takes it left to right, looking for room, retreats inside the 10, and he's dropped at the Raider 7-yard line. And he's getting down there to make the tackle was Ken Moss for Middlebury. So the Raiders back deep. As Sin got the kick on the near side of the field, took it toward the far side, retreated a couple of yards, and when it's all said and done, they're going to mark it at the Raider 9-yard line. So it's 1st and 10, Rutland at its own 9-yard line. 17-7 Middlebury as we get set here in the third quarter. Randy Gagne tight left, Downey and Welch are the setbacks. Sin is a wing right. Jim Agnes has gone all the way at quarterback, and the handoff goes to the first man through, and nothing doing. After maybe picking up a yard and driven back by a host of Tigers, I believe it was Welch. Volkert on the tackle, he led the way. Well, they're going to give him a yard out to the 10. It'll be 2nd and 9. Actually closer to the 11. It'll be second down and a long 8, we'll call it, for the Raiders at their own 11. Welch is the deep back, Downey the up back out of the eye. Wide left is Sin. Sin is in motion left to right. And the handoff goes to Welch, and Welch is going to lose yardage back to the 9 again. It'll be 3rd down and 10. Arthur Payne on the tackle.
Well, they gain 2, they lose 2, so they're back to where they started. 3rd down and 10 now for the Raiders. And this Middlebury defense, the first 2 plays from the line of scrimmage, tackling hard and certainly is fired up, and they've got the full support of their capacity crowd here in Middlebury this evening.
They mark it at the right side hash mark. The Raiders have it 3rd and 10 at their own 9-yard line. And Agnes, play action, rolls right, fires down the middle, and it goes incomplete. Up around the Raider 35-yard line. Sin tried to come up with a diving catch and couldn't do it. So the Raiders will have to boot the football away, and Middlebury will have pretty good field position here, as the Raiders will have it 4th and 10 at their own 9-yard line. That first drive just a little bit out of sync, really, from the beginning. For Rutland High, as Middlebury has a 17-7 lead, early going third quarter.
I think Jim Agnes is a little upset with himself, because he knows, as does everybody else here watching this game tonight, that he had Sin wide open down the middle of the field. Had he completed that, it would have gone for big yardage gain for the Raiders.
Hiller back into his own end zone to boot it away. Casey O'Mara back around the Raider 45, and single safety for Middlebury. And now we got whistles. Last time, Hiller went back to boot. Ben Johnston blocked the punt and returned to 10 yards for a touchdown. And the
ball might be wet or something.
Raiders are going to huddle up again here. Beautiful night for football, certainly as the night progresses, getting a lot cooler, but a huge crowd here both on this side, we're on the Middlebury side, and across the way. No, Middlebury petitioned down to 1A for next year, and I'm really surprised because this is a rejuvenation of the Middlebury football program, and they might reconsider that. Hiller back into the end zone to boot the football away. The snap is a good one, and Hiller gets the boot away. And it angles toward the far sideline. Hits at the 36. A Raider roll across the 40, the Raider 40, and rolls dead at the Raider 43-yard line. So Middlebury will go on the offense, 1st and 10 at the Raider 43. So Middlebury in excellent field position. The Raiders got the second half kickoff and couldn't move the football. And now Middlebury with a 17-7 lead goes on the offense. Mark it at the left side hash mark.
The Middlebury defense came out of the halftime locker room and took control of that last series by Rutland. Let's see if the Rutland defense can do the same thing.
Matt Daly has gone all the way at quarterback, the senior quarterback, and Daly goes to Burnham and he takes it right, nothing doing. He's tripped up at the line of scrimmage. It'll be 2nd and 10, Middlebury at the Raider 43. Jeff Sin on the tackle. Right, Stacy Burnham really has not been a factor, unlike the game we saw a couple of weeks ago. Stacy Burnham was a factor in that one. It's Matt Daly that's the factor in this one tonight.
Well, it's Daly and McDonough doing most of the damage for the Tigers offensively tonight, and that's got to be a bonus for them because Burnham is usually the workhorse offensively, and he has yet to get his game going.
Moss is in, Sunderland out at the halfback spot on the right side for Middlebury. Inside handoff for McDonough, takes it right, looking for room as he cut it against the grain. Got it to about the 41, pickup of a couple. As the Raider defense tries to stiffen here, McFerrin on the tackle. It'll be 3rd down and 8 for Middlebury at the Raider 41-yard line. Early going third quarter, 9:04 remaining in the quarter. It's Middlebury 17 and Rutland 7. Wide left goes English. Also wide left is Moss. Wing left is McDonough. Burnham is the lone setback behind Matt Daly on 3rd down. Quick drop. Throws left on the hitch to Moss, complete inside the 40, and he's down at the Raider 37. It really didn't pick up a lot. Picked up about 6. Vaccaro on the tackle for Rutland High. It'll be 4th down and coming up for Middlebury. Actually, when it was all said and done, picked up about 4 yards. And back to boot will be McDonough for Middlebury. Middlebury has it at the Raider 38, so the Raider defensive unit stiffened there when Middlebury had it in excellent field position. McDonough back at the 50-yard line to boot it away, and he gets the boot away. And this will be to Sin at the 12-yard line, and Sin is crunched under at the 14. Doug Connors getting down there to make the stop for Middlebury, so the Raiders get their hands on the football for the second time here in the second half.
Both first series for both ball clubs to start this second half, 3 and out for each. And now it's Rutland's turn to try to get something established as they take it over at their own 14, 8 minutes remaining in the third.
Middlebury has that 17-7 lead. Randy Gagne goes wide right. Jimmy Anagnos, a couple of setbacks now. Anagnos drops it back, throws over the middle. It is tipped, and it goes incomplete. It was almost intercepted by Langfeld. As he tipped it at the line of scrimmage, the intended receiver was Randy Gagne. So it'll be 2nd and 10 for the Raiders, their own 14-yard line. And Gagne gets a breather now.
Dangerously close to an interception. Would have been a big play for the Tigers that deep into Rutland territory had Langfeld gotten his second hand onto that football. And a lucky break for the Raiders.
McIntyre is in now. And he goes wide right. Sin is wide left. Downey and Welch are the setback. 2nd and 10 for the Raiders, their own 14-yard line. And a Raider jumped. This will be offside Raiders. Left guard for the Raiders jumping. Going to mark it back to the 9-yard line, and the Raiders will be faced with a 2nd and 15. 7:46 left third quarter. It is Middlebury 17 and Rutland 7. Sin wide left. Bliss is tight left now. Downey and Welch are the setbacks. Wide right is Ryan McIntyre. Magnus on 2nd down from his own 9-yard line. Sin is in motion. And it goes to Sin as he sweeps it right, and Sin gets it out to about the 12-yard line before he's dropped. Maybe closer to the 14. Got the original 5 back. Perrine on the tackle. It'll be 3rd and 10. Did get it back to the original line of scrimmage. Randy Gagne trots back into the football game.
So here are the Raiders, their second drive of the third quarter, faced with a 3rd and long. Definitely need to come up with something big here, do the Raiders.
Raiders break the huddle. Gagne goes wide right. Raiders have a wishbone look now behind Jimmy and Agnes. And Agnes play action, rolls right, tosses right, and goes incomplete, intended for Brent Bliss up around the Raider 20, and the pass was knocked away by McDonough. And Cordy McDonough, some football player. And it will be 4th down and 10 for the Raiders at their own 14. Again, Middlebury will have excellent field position here. Clock stops with 6:55 remaining in the third quarter as Moss and McDonough go back deep for Middlebury. Again, Hiller will go back into his own end zone to boot it away for Rutland. McDonough and Moss are up around the Raider 45-yard line. Snap is a good one. And Hiller gets the boot away, a line drive, and on a couple of hops, it is McDonough at the Raider 45, and he is dropped at the Raider 43-yard line by Jacob Downey. So 1st and 10 Middlebury. So far the second half has been played in Raider territory. The Tigers have it at the Raider 43-yard line. Middlebury 17 and Rutland 7. Again, the Raider defensive unit has to stiffen here. And then we got an official's timeout here momentarily. High school football 93 on WSYB Rutland. Jack Healey, Vince Allo, Steve Fox is our engineer. A week from tomorrow, it'll be Rutland and Mount Anthony. We'll be on the air at 1:15 with a pregame show, kickoff time at 1:30. Full house backfield or the straight tee behind the senior quarterback, Matt Daly. Sunderland is into the football game. Handoff to Burnham, nothing doing as he took it straight ahead. He was hit by McFerrin. And who's that getting up from underneath the pile?
Jeff Sin.
Jeff Sin. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Sin enjoying a big game defensively tonight for the Raiders. Got through the line of scrimmage that time, wrapped up what was supposed to be the big offensive weapon for Middlebury in Stacy Burnham, and wrapped him up for no gain on the play. 2nd
and 10 for Middlebury, the Raider 43-yard line. Again, the straight tee behind the senior quarterback, Matt Daly. The ends are tight. Inside handoff to Moss. Moss takes it to the 40, cuts it to the outside at the 35, and down at the Raider 33-yard line, close to a 10-yard pickup and close to a Middlebury first down. We'll say his knee touched at the Raider 34. Kyle Berquist on the tackle. So it picked up 9. It'll be 3rd and a yard for Middlebury. At that point, Middlebury 17 and Rutland 7. As back into the ball game comes Sunderland, and out is Moss from Middlebury.
Berquist wrapped him up only after Vaccaro tripped him up. And those two combining and saving what could have been potentially a bigger gain for the Tigers.
No left side hash mark, 3rd and 1 for Middlebury, the Raider 34. Again, the straight tee behind Daly. And Daly goes to Burnham, takes it off right tackle. Didn't get much, but he didn't need much. Picked up about a yard. Tackle by McFerrin. And let's see, they're going to call for a measurement. I think he's going to be just a little bit shy. It'll be 4th down, less than a yard for Middlebury between the Raider 33 and 34-yard line. Big play in the football game. Moss and Sunderland continue to alternate in the backfield for Middlebury. Clock running with 4:45 remaining in the third quarter. Middlebury 17 and Rutland 7. Big play in this football game. 4th down, less than a yard for Middlebury at the Raider 34-yard line. McDonough, Burnham in the backfield. The handoff goes to McDonough, and McDonough takes it right, and he is dropped at the line of scrimmage, and it depends on where they mark the football here. I don't believe he made it. It was Matt Walterscheid that made the hit initially. Looks like he got a pretty good spot, though. They mark it between the 33 and the 34. Let's see if they're going to call for the measurement. Yep. Here comes the chain gang. This is going to be close. The Raiders either have the football or it's a first down Middlebury. And he's going to be half a yard shy. Big play by Matt Walterscheid. The Raiders have taken over on downs. They have it 1st and 10 at their own 33-yard line.
Well, let's see if that momentum shift can give Rutland what they needed, a boost into the shot to the arm for their offense, as they've struggled here in the third quarter, 3 plays and out each time they've touched the football. Take advantage of a big play by your defense move the football down the field and try to punch it in, as they did to end the first half.
Jimmy and Agnes and company have some work to do. Jimmy and Agnes, the 6'1", 185-pound senior quarterback. Gagne wide right. Sin a wing on the right, they're going to wing on the left, and a lone setback behind Agnes. Agnes back to throw, ears it out, down the right sideline for Gagne. He's got it on the run at the 35. Puts on a move as he sidesteps to the 30 and down at the Middlebury 25-yard line. Randy Gagne, and again, he puts on the moves after catching the football. 1st and 10, Rutland. Agnes hooking up to Randy Gagne.
And there's a combination that's been so successful for the Raiders all year long. Agnes to Gagne, and for the second time tonight, Gagne getting a big completion and doing a lot of the legwork after the catch was made. Outstanding job of running the football after the catch by Randy Gagne, and a great throw by Agnes.
47-yard pickup. 1st and 10, Raiders, the Middlebury 26. Agnes now on the handoff to Downey as he sweeps it right. Penalty markers down, and he cut it against the grain for maybe a yard or two, and we'll see what the penalty marker's all about. The Raiders can get on the board here, and still anybody's ball game. What a move by Randy Gagne. It is against Rutland, this penalty marker. And it's a crackback block. It's a 15-yard penalty, too. The Raiders will have it back at the Middlebury 41-yard line. 1st and 25 for Rutland High.
There's that word again. Penalty against Rutland. Big penalty. 15 yards after the big completion from Agnes to Gagne. The next play resulted in a penalty.
In motion now, Welch left to right. Inside handoff to Sin, and Sin gets his way to about the 39-yard line before he's dropped. Pickup of a couple. It'll be 2nd and 23 for Rutland High. Stacy Burnham on the tackle. 3:10 remaining third quarter. Middlebury 17 and Rutland 7. The Raiders have it 2nd and 23 at the Middlebury 39-yard line.
A penalty like that can just take all the air out of the ball for Rutland.
Big
play like that, they hand it off
play
to Welch, and then there's a penalty, and now what was an emotional sideline is a little bit down over there.
Gagne wide right as Agnes barks him out. Couple of setbacks, and Agnes drops it back, looking, and he is going to be sacked all the way back at the Middlebury 47-yard line. That lost about 8. Ryan Aldrich on the sack. So the Raiders, after that big pass completion, had it 1st and 10 at the Middlebury 26, and now they have it 3rd and long at the Middlebury 47-yard line. Let's see.
Not what they were looking for in response to that big completion to Gagne. Now faced with a 3rd and 24.
Well, 3rd and closer to 30. They haven't changed it on the board. Back to throw, and Agnes drops it way back. Sets up the screen, and did he catch it? A diving try by Jacob Downey at the Middlebury 44. And did they say he caught it? I guess they did, but he was down immediately and only picked up. Or no, they're going to say it was incomplete. So they bring it back to the 47. 4th and long for the Raiders at the Middlebury 47. Well, that big crackback block penalty against the Raiders really took the wind out of their sails after they added to the Middlebury 26. Back to Bodis Hiller. 2 minutes left, third quarter. Middlebury in front, 17-7. Hiller back to his own 40. Moss back deep for Middlebury, around the Middlebury 20-yard line or so. Snap is a good one, and Hiller gets the boot away, and it is a high boot. Moss calls for the fair catch, but lets it bounce. And it gets a Raider roll as it bounces inside the 20-yard line. And roll dead at the 16. So Middlebury deep in its own territory, 1st and 10 at its own 16-yard line. Let's see, is that where they're going to mark it? Yeah, that's the 16, okay. Minute 40 remaining third quarter. Middlebury with a 17-7 lead. They have it on the left side hash mark. 1st and 10 for the Tigers. Again, the full house backfield of the straight tee behind the senior quarterback Matt Daly. And the inside handoff to McDonough gets maybe a yard to the 17. And that is it. It'll be 2nd and 9. And Mike Clark on the stop. As Sunderland was in on that play, and he comes out, and Moss back in for Middlebury. 2nd and 9 for the Tigers, their own 17-yard line. A minute left, third quarter. Middlebury 17 and Rutland 7. All the scoring in this ball game has come in the second quarter. McDonough in motion now. Healey on the option, takes it right, has some room, gets it to about the 25 before he's tackled in the open field by Kyle Berquist. Kyle Berquist has played pretty well defensively.
Well, he had to come quite a ways across the field in order to get to Daly that time, although Daly did pick up enough yardage for a first down. Nice job of ball pursuit and tackling by Kyle Berquist for Rutland.
It is a first down for Middlebury. They have it 1st and 10 at their own 26-yard line. Mark it at the right side hash mark. 25 seconds left in the third quarter. Again, the straight T, wide left is English. Now they break it. Now they got a wing on the right, McDonough a wing on the left. Moss is in motion right to left. As the handoff goes fake to Burnham, and then the pitch back to Moss as he sweeps it left, and he gets it out across the 35 to about the 36, a pickup of close to 10. Frankie Vaccaro on the tackle for Rutland High, and that is another Middlebury first down. 1st and 10 at their own 36. He faked to Burnham and then tossed it back to Moss, and Moss picked up 10 yards on the first down, and that will be the final play of the third quarter. That is the end of the third quarter. We played 3 here at Middlebury, and after 3 our score, Middlebury 17 and Rutland High 7. We'll be back after this 30-second timeout. 17-7 lead. So we get set for the fourth quarter. Middlebury going right to left here in the fourth quarter. Rutland left to right.
Well, that last play there was a fake to Burnham, and I think what may have happened is the Middlebury coaching staff recognized that Rutland's defense has been keying against Burnham all evening long, and they used Burnham as a decoy on that play, and it enabled Moss to get to the outside for a big gain for Middlebury.
Middlebury has it 1st and 10 at its own 36-yard line. In motion now is Sunderland as the handoff goes to Burnham. It looked like he had trouble finding the handle, and Burnham picked up yardage back to the line of scrimmage, maybe a half-yard pickup. It'll be 2nd and 10. Second and 10 for the Middlebury Tigers, just underway in the fourth quarter.
Very close to a fumble that time. It looks as though he might have juggled the ball as it was handed to him from Daly.
Middlebury has it at its own 36-yard line. Again, the straight T, and the handoff now to McDonough as he sweeps it right, tries to turn the corner at the 40, and he's dropped just about at the 40-yard line, a pickup of 4. And on the tackle there was Brian Pinney for Rutland High. It'll be 3rd down and 7 for Middlebury at its own 40-yard line. Middlebury in front 17-7 early going fourth quarter.
Big play defensively here for the Raiders on a 3rd and long for Middlebury. And their defense has really stepped it up here in the second half. Just need to get their offense, the football back, and give them a chance to score again.
Moss is a wing on the right, couple of setbacks now, and English is wide left for Middlebury, and Moss is in motion right to left. On 3rd down, Daly play action, pumps once, here's it out down the left sideline, incomplete, he overthrows McDonough, and around the Raider 40, it was covered well by Frankie Vaccaro and also Kyle Berquist. So it'll be 4th down and 7 for Middlebury, their own 36-yard line, or their own 40-yard line, excuse me.
So the Rutland defense holds. Rutland will get the football back with 10.5 minutes remaining in the ball game, trailing 17-7. And their defense certainly is rising to the occasion as this game wears on.
Well, McDonough back to boot for Middlebury, back around the Middlebury 27-yard line. Sin and Welch back deep for the Raiders. 4th down for Middlebury at their own 40. The snap is a good one. And Walter Scheid put on a charge, but he couldn't quite come up with it as it goes to the 30-yard line. And we got penalty markers down. Was that Sin that returned it, or he got it out to the 34? Penalty markers down. We'll see what the penalty markers are all about. I believe that was Sin on the return. Still don't know what the penalty marker is all about here. It is a clip against Rutland. So from the point of infraction at the 34. Yep, clipping penalty against the Raiders, and they're going to mark it back to the 19-yard line. First and 10 for the Raiders at their own 19-yard line.
And don't mean by any means to sound like a broken record here, but there's another costly penalty against the Raiders. It's really been their fate all evening long, and that was a big one.
Wide right comes Randy Gagne. 17-7 Middlebury, 10-10 remaining here in the football game. And Anagnos, I don't believe, got the handle as a fumble, and Middlebury is recovered. I don't believe Jimmy Anagnos got the handle properly from the center. There was a fumble, but apparently the Raiders recovered. Middlebury started to celebrate. Couldn't catch who recovered.
Well, based on the celebration by the Middlebury players, they did have the football, and that would have been deadly against the Raiders that deep in their own territory.
But the Raiders did recover. It's 2nd and 10 for the Raiders at their own 19-yard line. Couple of setbacks behind Jimmy Anagnos. Man wide right and a man wide left. 2nd and 10. Anagnos back to throw. Being pressured. Steps up, throws left, and it goes incomplete. Intended for Randy Gagne up around the Raider 32-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 10 for the Raiders at their own 19. Less than 10 minutes remaining in the football game, and Middlebury in front by a score of 17-7. All the scoring in this ball game has come in the second quarter.
Was that Gagne or McIntyre that pass was intended for? It looked like number 20 over there.
It was tough to tell. We might add that certainly at nighttime it is tough across the field.
Whoever that was intended for, had he gathered that pass, he was gone down the far sideline as there was no one back in deep coverage for Middlebury.
Gagne comes wide right this time. 3rd and 10 for the Raiders, their own 19. And Agnes back to throw. Being pressured, throws it toward the near sideline. It goes incomplete. He overthrows Gagne around the Raider 45.
That play really had no chance to develop as Middlebury read that all the way. They know that Gagne is the go-to guy for Anagnos, and they had him double-teamed along the near sideline. And that brings up a 4th and 10 now for Rutland. They'll have to give the football back to Middlebury.
4th and 10 for the Raiders at their own 19. Clock stops with 9:16 left in the football game, and Middlebury in front 17-7. As generally is the case, the team in the white at night is a little difficult to see. In this case, it's the Raiders, especially when they're across the way, so it is difficult. No doubt there's a difference between night football and day football. Booming punt by Hiller, over-the-shoulder catch by Moss at his own 40, retreated to the 35, across the 40, and out to the Middlebury 44 before he stacked under.
He had to avoid a charging Ryan Welch that time as he was down in coverage for Rutland. And a nice job of running the football
by Moss.
By Ken Moss for Middlebury. Got a few yards out of what could have been retreating yardage for Middlebury.
So Middlebury goes on the offense. 1st and 10 at its own 44-yard line. 8:57 left in the football game. Middlebury in front by a score of 17-7. They break the straight T. They got a double wing set up with Sunderland on the right and McDonough on the left, and Sunderland's in motion. Sunderland gets the call, takes it off left tackle, puts his head down, gets it to the Raider 48 before he's dropped. Pickup of 8, close to 9 yards. Mike Clark on the tackle for Rutland High.
Following the blocking of this 5'9", 220-pound senior Doug Connors around the left side of the field was Sunderland for Middlebury.
2nd and 2 for Middlebury. The Raider 47 is where they mark it, and most of the action has been the far side. They're finally toward our side now. Again, the double wing set up. Sunderland on the right, McDonough on the left, and McDonough in motion. Burnham the lone setback, and Burnham gets the call straight ahead, and he picks up maybe a yard to the 46. Steve Pryor dropped him.
Crowd wanting a late hit call against Rutland. They were a little upset with some of the action that went on after the whistle was blown. No flag was thrown, fortunately, for the Raiders.
They give them this forward progress to the Raider 46. It'll be 3rd down and less than a yard for the Tigers at that point. Now the straight tee again for Middlebury, and the ends are tied. Third down, less than a yard for the Tigers. The Raider 46. And the handoff to Burnham off right tackle. Huge hole, first down and more inside the 40, and drop to the Raider 38-yard line. 8-yard pickup for Stacy Burnham. It's 1st and 10 Middlebury. Ryan Pinney on the stop, and also McFerrin over there.
First big game we've seen all evening long by Stacy Burnham. And that would definitely be a bad sign for the Raiders if he starts to gain momentum this late in the ball game.
So 1st and 10 for Middlebury. They have a 17-7 lead, and the clock running with 7:17 left in the football game. Middlebury has it at the Raider 38-yard line. The English goes wide right, again the straight tee. Behind the senior quarterback, Matt Daly. Daly now on the handoff to McDonough, off right tackle, inside the 35, 30, down the sideline, 25, 20, 15, and finally dropped inside the Raider 10-yard line at the 9. Gordy McDonough on the carry. A 29-yard run for McDonough. McIntyre on the tackle for Rutland High. Let's see where he went out of bounds here, where they marked the football. Are they going to say outside the 10? They're going to say apparently he went out of bounds at about the 13-yard line.
Touchdown saving tackle in the open field by Ryan McIntyre for Rutland.
So it's 1st and 10 Middlebury at the Raider 13. Middlebury looking for more. They lead at 17-7. And the inside handoff goes to Burnham. And looks like he lost about a yard. Back to the 14. Walter Scheid on the tackle. He lost 2 back to the Raider 15. It'll be 2nd and 12 for Middlebury.
And again, doing most of the damage for Middlebury has been McDonough all evening long. It hasn't been Burnham, the one that we thought was going to do the damage for them offensively.
6:30 left in the football game. Middlebury 17 and Rutland 7. Sunderland a wing right. English goes wide left. Now McDonough wing left. Burnham is the lone setback. And Burnham gets the call straight ahead. And he punches his way down to about the 10-yard line. Berquist on the tackle. Walter Scheid was there as well. And we have a Raider player that's been shaken up. And it looks like Jacob Downey. They're going to mark it at the Raider 11. It picked up 4. It'll be 3rd down and 8 for Middlebury with 6:11 left of the football game. And Jacob Downey is going to be let off the field under his own power. Has a little bit of help. Third down and 8 for Middlebury at the Raider 11. 6:11 left in the football game, and Middlebury leads at 17-7. Full house backfield or the straight tee. Behind Matt Daly, the senior quarterback. Daly now play action, rolls right, throws right, and it goes incomplete. Intended for Langfeld, right about at the goal line, and it was knocked away.
89, Kyle Berquist.
It looked like Berquist might have got a finger on it. So it'll be 4th and 8 for Middlebury at the Raider 11. Let's see if Middlebury tries for the field goal again. Daly had a 37-yard field goal earlier. It doesn't look like they are.
Well, the field goal would make it so Rutland would have to score 2 touchdowns in order to win this game.
But they're going to go for it. 4th down and 8 for Middlebury at the Raider 11-yard line. They mark it at the left side hash mark. 2 wideouts right. The lone setback is Burnham. Daly back to throw. Looking to throw. Being pressured. Throws to the end zone. And it is complete for the touchdown to Bob Sunderland. An 11-yard touchdown pass from Matt Daly to Bob Sunderland, and Middlebury now leads it by a score of 23-7 with 5:52 left in the football game.
What an outstanding job of hanging tough in the pocket by Matt Daly, the 6'1" senior quarterback from Middlebury, who's had something to do with all the points so far for Middlebury, and he'll add to that as he is the place kicker, looking to add the extra point and put this game deeper in the hole for the Raiders. They're trailing now 23-7 at the 5:52 mark, and here's Daly's extra point attempt.
And the kick by Daly this time is wide left. No good. That's the only thing wrong he's done all night. So an 11-yard touchdown pass from Matt Daly to Bob Sunderland. The try for the extra point, no good. 5:52 left in the football game, and Middlebury leads Rutland by a score of 23-7. Back with a kickoff after this 30-second timeout. 50-yard touchdown pass from Matt Daly to Bob Sunderland. With 5:52 left in the football game, the try for the extra point no good. And Middlebury has a 23-7 lead. And here's the Daly boot. This will go to Sin at the 15-yard line, straight ahead. Gets it out across the 25 and close to the 30 before he's dropped. First and 10 Raiders. He's dropped at the 30-yard line. Jeff Sin on the return. I'll tell you, Middlebury's been impressive tonight, no doubt about it.
Well, now the job is strictly up to the Rutland offense now, needing 2 touchdowns and 2 two-point conversions just to tie this football game, and there's really not an awful lot of time to get all that done. 5:44 remaining in the game, and the clock is running.
23-7 Middlebury. First and 10 Raiders, their own 30 as Kuchar goes wide right. They're going to be in wide left as well as they operate out of the eye, and Kuchar's in motion right to left. And here's the pitch to Frankie Vaccaro, who's in the backfield, sweeps it right, and he got it to the 35-yard line before he was really rustled to the turf by Ken Moss.
Normally that's a play that goes for big yardage for the Raiders, but Moss doing an outstanding job of wrapping up Vaccaro with one hand. And give a lot of credit to Moss because Vaccaro is a quick runner, and Moss hung in there and wrapped him up, threw him to the ground.
Picked up 6. It'll be 2nd and 4 for the Raiders at their own 36-yard line. McFerrin in the backfield along with Vaccaro. And Agnes back to throw, being pressured, rolls right, and he is dropped all the way back at the 26-yard line. It lost 10. Paul Gill on the tackle for Middlebury.
Tell you, Jack, you are right. This Middlebury team has been impressive tonight as well. We saw them a few weeks ago against MSJ, and they put on a performance then. Right now, their defense is really starting to take this game over. They've gotten good performance from their offense, most notably their quarterback, Matt Daly. But right now, their defense is fired up and playing inspired football.
2nd and 15. They're going to mark it back at the Raider 25-yard line. 4:18 left in the football game. Middlebury 23 and Rutland 7. Magnus on the double reverse it goes as Sin eventually gets it from Welch, and he sweeps it left, and Sin picks up maybe a couple to the 27, and that's it. Volkert on the tackle. That was a 3rd down play. It'll be 4th and long, 4th and about 13 for the Raiders. Less than 4 minutes remaining in the football game. And at this point, they're going to go for it. So Middlebury in the postseason picture for sure. Middlebury and Rutland would be tied after this football game in Division I. And Agnes back to throw, throws over the middle, it goes incomplete. And that one intended for Jeff Sin up around the Raider 43, and Middlebury takes over on downs. They have it 1st and 10 at the Raider 27-yard line. Both teams in Division I would be at 3 and 2. Both teams overall, well, actually Middlebury would move to 5 and 2 overall, and the Raiders would fall to 4 and 3, but they'd both be 3 and 2, and any tiebreaker between Middlebury and Rutland would go to Middlebury.
Well, a well-deserved round of applause by the fans in attendance here for the Middlebury defense as they came off the field.
Matt Daly's gone all the way at quarterback. They are again in the straight T. Hand off to Sunderland, takes it left, and Sunderland gets a couple down to the 25-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 8 for Middlebury. Bill Drew on the tackle.
Clock winding down now on what was almost a must-win game here for the Raiders. Puts that much more importance to next weekend's showdown with Mount Anthony.
The scenario tonight was qualify for the playoffs and get the home field next week. Now the scenario is trying to get the playoff spot next week. 2nd and 8 for Middlebury at the Raider 25-yard line. Handoff to McDonough, sweeps it right. Turns the corner inside the 20 down to the 17. Penalty markers down. Picked up about 8. It would be a Middlebury 1st down. And we'll see what the penalty marker's all about here. Clock stops with 2:34 left in the football game. Middlebury in front by a score of 23-7. It is a clip against Middlebury. And so Middlebury would have it at the Raider 37-yard line. The 15-yard penalty from the point of infraction. Middlebury has it second down, about 20. Middlebury has been very impressive tonight. Double wing set up. The lone setback is Stacy Burnham behind Matt Daly. And the handoff to the wingback. Sunderland sweeps it left and turns the corner and gets it to about the 34. Pickup of 3. It'll be third down, about 17. And Rick Kuchar on the tackle for Rutland High.
Well, looking into the postseason picture now, Middlebury definitely a team to be reckoned with, and you can just ask Brattleboro, as Brattleboro, the only undefeated team in Division I football right now, had to go to late in the game in order to beat Middlebury. And we know what Brattleboro's done to teams like Rutland when they had their showdown. And Middlebury right now is gaining momentum as this season winds down, and they're definitely a team to be reckoned with in the playoffs.
Middlebury has it at the Raider 34-yard line, third and long. Handoff to Burnham, straight ahead inside the 30 to about the 29-yard line. And he's tripped up there. Gil Miller on the tackle. Bill Drew was over there as well. 1:22 left of the football game. It's Middlebury 23 and Rutland 7.
Well, Middlebury's up 23-7, and they have done that mostly without a big game from their big workhorse in the backfield, Stacy Burnham. They've gotten a big game, huge game actually, out of quarterback place kicker Matt Daly, as well as doing the majority of the running in the backfield. Gordy McDonough picking up the slack where Burnham left off.
And Middlebury would have it 4th and 12 at the Raider 29, and Middlebury has called for delay of game, so with 1:04 left in the football game, they're going to mark it back to the 34, and Middlebury will have it 4th and 17. And are they going to boot the football away or what here? Apparently so. McDonough will be back to boot, back around the Raider 45-yard line. Sin and Welch back deep for the Raiders, back around the 7-yard line. High snap from center. McDonough goes back, picks it up at his own 45, ducks under 2 people to the 50 to the Raider 45, and he's down at the Raider 46. Like Frankie Vaccaro made the tackle. Bad snap from center. And McDonough picked it up. He ducked under 2 Raiders charging in and picked up about 15 yards from deep in the backfield. Of course, it was 4th and long anyway. And the Raiders take over on downs, 1st and 10 at their own 40.
Well, when you're having a night like Middlebury's having tonight, things like that will go your way. What could have been a turnover going for Rutland went as somewhat of a botched play. Big gain for Middlebury.
Down to 42 seconds left in the football game. Middlebury 23 and Rutland 7. Jimmy and Agnes marks him out, 1st and 10 for the Raiders' his own 40. And Agnes drops it back, looking, shoots it down the middle. It goes incomplete. He overthrows Brent Bliss to the Middlebury 45. It'll be 2nd and 10 for the Raiders at their own 40. Clock stops with 29 seconds left in the football game. They have been very impressive.
The people that are still here in attendance, as some of them have headed for the exits already here in Middlebury, giving a well-deserved round of applause to their Tigers, as they have played remarkably well tonight against one of the better teams in the state in Rutland. And boy, that playoff picture certainly becomes a little bit cloudier now after tonight's outcome.
2nd and 10 for the Raiders, their own 40. Double wing set up, and Agnes back to throw, looking, still looking, and he shoots it left, and it goes incomplete, intended for Brent Bliss at the Raider 45, but penalty markers down all over the place as the clock stops with 21 seconds left in the football game.
Boy, Paul Gill put a shot on Jim and Agnes from the blind side just as he threw that football. There was no penalty thrown as it was a good hit, but there's 3 flags down right around the midfield area. They all came at the same time. There's a flag against Rutland. Looks like an offensive pass interference or a push.
Still don't see the signal here. It is offensive pass interference. It is a loss of down as well. So it'll be 4th down. It's a 5-yard penalty. No, 15. They're going to mark it back to the 26-yard line, so the Raiders have it back at their own 26. It would be 4th down and long. That was a 3rd and long. It is a loss of down. I guess with the down, it would be third. Raiders have it at their own 26. 21 seconds left in the football game. And Agnes rolls left, looking to throw, still looking, fires, and it is complete to Randy Gagne at the Raider 45, and then he rumbles out of bounds at the Raider 47. So Randy Gagne making the catch far sideline. And the clock running. Well, did he get out of bounds? It stops at 4. It'll be 4th down and about 4 for the Raiders at their own 47-yard line. Picked up good yardage, but just one play left in the football game. 23-7 Middlebury. The Raiders had called for a timeout. We'll keep it right here. We'll have a Pasquale's 12th Player Award winner at the end of the game, the unsung hero, and a J.P. Carr & Sons MVP at the end of the game as well. Pass play picked up about 20 yards or so.
Well, now Rutland thinks ahead to a week from tomorrow, their showdown against Mount Anthony.
They're going to battle for the playoff spot.
And playoff implications certainly with that game, as they were tonight, actually positioning in the playoffs. Next week it's just to make the playoffs. And Rutland certainly has their work cut out going against Mount Anthony next Saturday.
4th and 4 for the Raiders, their own 47. Final play of the football game. Rolling it way back, Jimmy Anagnos. Anagnos throws downfield. It's up for grabs, and it is complete to Sin at the 15 of Middlebury. He retreats, and he's down at the Middlebury 18. And that is the end of the football game, and Middlebury has upset Rutland. The final score, Middlebury 23 and Rutland 7.